Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Afton and I'm Monty's Tarot Child. Today I have another special reading for you. This will be a message from your Saturn return. If Saturn, the planet in the sky, could speak to you, this is the energy that I feel like they would be presenting to you at this time in your life. You can either be in the middle, at the beginning, or at the very end of your Saturn return. And you can watch this reading as many times as you need to during that journey, just to see what it is that Saturn is trying to teach you and trying to bring to you. So for those of you who do not know, Saturn is the planet that is traditionally known to be very disciplined. It is a planet in your chart that astrologers can look at to see how you discipline yourself, how you are disciplined in your day-to-day tasks or your life goals. It can show what areas of life you are most likely to achieve or succeed around, what environments bring out this success within you as well. It talks about structure and how structure is important in life. And sometimes you can view this structure as restrictions as well. Saturn is the hard lessons that we have to learn in life and, the purpose and the point behind those all. So you will have a Saturn return approximately around 3 times in your life if you are able to live that long to have those many returns. And that is approximately, it starts around when you're 27. Saturn will return to the sign that you were that it was in when you were born. So it goes from 27 to the age of 56 to around the age of 84. That's how many times you can possibly have a Saturn return in your life. So if you know all about that, if you want to know more about Saturn and what it means to have a Saturn return, I would deeply encourage you to look up some stuff on YouTube, learn more about astrology, because it really is a blueprint. But before, now we're going to get into your reading here. This is an intuitive reading. I'd love for you to just take a moment to pause and meditate on which one of these 4 piles is most likely energetically connected to your Saturn and the message that it has for you. And I will see you in your reading. Hello, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading. You chose the beautiful rose quartz crystal shaped like a heart. And you don't typically see Saturn or Saturn connected things really being aligned with rose quartz. Rose quartz is a really gentle, really soft kind of aura. But I felt strongly connected to choose this as your crystal for the first pile, and you may be strongly connected to it as well. With your crystal being in the shape of the heart, before we get to the card, I heard a message of you being divinely connected to your Saturn, to your Saturn placement, you being very proud of your Saturn placement in some way with the rose quartz heart here. So some of you could be Saturn dominant, or your chart is Saturn dominant where you have a lot of Capricorn or Aquarius energy, or Saturn just rules over your natal chart if you are into astrology and you know what that means. But you also chose the tiger tea leaf, and it says doing something risky, taking a chance. So during our Saturn returns, that is when we can witness a lot of changes happening in our life. Saturn will initiate certain changes in order to move us out of this more youthful or childlike perspective into adulthood. And some people will say, I've been an adult all my life. I don't necessarily feel like 30 is when I've made it to adulthood. It's like I've been taking care of myself or being responsible over myself for a long time. But Saturn can usher in different challenges and circumstances that strengthen the lessons that they are there to teach us. And so with this tiger energy here, I do believe that you are initiating something different in your life during your Saturn return or around the time of your Saturn return. And it's something risky for you. You'll be taking a chance in some way that feels like you are going out on a limb, doing something that you don't normally do in order to see what comes of it. Normally, typically, when we do something risky, we're looking to see if something will come of that risk that we are willing to take. And sometimes Saturn can reward us for taking risks. It's not necessarily like the typical reaction of Saturn. Saturn likes for us to be methodical and planned out in some way, structured in some way, but it also can appreciate when we do take a risk, a calculated risk that that adds more structure to your life long term. Let's see what else we have here. You have feathers with restoration, which is so interesting because I haven't even gotten to it yet, but pile number 4, their tea leaf is a feather as well. So you may at some point be drawn to listen to that message as well. But during your Saturn return, the risk that you are taking is actually entering in a lot of restoration in your life. You have the upper world with future as well. So some of you can be very deeply connected to astrology. You do possibly keep up with certain transits. That's how you know that either your Saturn return is coming up or it has just passed and you're looking to see what you have restored from this time in your life. But you are connected to the upper world. You're connected to the things that happen astrologically. And you are very much so a person that looks towards the future. And that's, again, a part of risk as well. When you take certain risks, that means you don't see the future, but you are taking a leap to trust that there is some kind of foundation there for you. With restoration, I'm very intrigued as to what it is that you will be restoring during this time, and this chance that you are taking. It feels as if you are kind of very much so lighthearted. It's not that you're not taking this serious. It's that you're not taking it too serious as you typically would. I'm very curious to know what that means for you, and what level of seriousness do you value in certain situations, but where you're also trying to hold back this level of seriousness in some way. I'm going to gain more information through the oracle, but we do have restoration here. What else for pile number 1, please, Spirit? A message from your Saturn return. There's something that you're holding on to as kind of like a guide during your Saturn return, and it brings you a little bit of comfort as you were taking a risk. Let me look and see what that is. She feels, she knows. I'm gonna keep shuffling because it didn't come out clearly. Pile number 1, please, Spirit. Pile number 1. They all want to keep flipping over. There you go. That's the one that wanted to come out for you. Okay. You have power of attraction here. Very beautiful. I believe that you are not just taking a risk, uncalculated. I sensed it within your reading that you do have this sort of like perceiving ability to guesstimate the amount of exertion or energy that you need to put towards something so that it can become successful in your eyes, that you feel comfortable with this amount of success. But there is this element of unconscious manifestation or a law of attraction that is happening as well. You have conscious connections at the bottom of the deck, and I will get into this energy as well before we move on. But with feathers and power of attraction, I feel like you, within your Saturn return, you're learning how to restore your faith and your abilities to attract certain things. I do believe that there is some kind of alchemical process that you may be going through, because in order to attract, we must be aligned with the energy that we're trying to manifest. And I sense that within your Saturn return, within the 2.5 years that Saturn will be in your natal sign, I feel like you are going through this alchemical process of restoring your energy in order to manifest, in order to prepare to do something risky and to take a chance again, but calculate it with a certain level of consciousness. You also may be deeply like gaining or gathering new connections in your life during your Saturn return. People will come and go in your life, throughout the entirety of your life, but I think there will be some very deep connections that you make as your Saturn is returning to its natal sign. And it could be restoring also your faith in certain friendships or connectivity to other people who may also be going through their Saturn return or have gone through similar challenges and lessons that you are going through within your own Saturn return. But I do see that by the end of this return, towards the end of your Saturn return, you will have manifested something with a new type of energy that exists within you. Again, an alchemical process is what I feel that this is, but I'm gonna look and see in the Oracle what else I can see about this message. Pile number 1, please, Spirit. There was quite a few that popped out, so I'm gonna keep shuffling. Pile number 1. What does their Saturn want them to know? Okay, you have passion flying out and fertility at the bottom of the deck. Let me see. So passion with the Leo energy here. So some of you could have your Saturn in Leo, especially because you have it twice at the bottom of the deck as well. Some of you could definitely be Saturn and Leo generation. But you have passion and fertility here at the bottom of the deck. I do believe that you are going to feel very passionate. Something's going to be really drawing your attention and drawing your creativity out from within you. Leo is all about the creative, all about the magical, the fantastical, the elaborate. And I feel like you are very passionate about something coming to existence in this nature. I think it, especially in regards to power of attraction, there takes this kind of level of passion in order to want something to come into being so strongly. And you feel very passionate about something. It makes you feel very alive and invigorated and excited. And that's what makes it feel like such a risk, is because you know that if it weren't to happen in the way that you wanted it to, you'd be quite disappointed, because you were very, very, very passionate about it and you really wanted to nurture something into being. And so you are going to acknowledge that it feels risky. Acknowledge that it feels risky, and again, restoring your faith in the process of manifestation, really feeding something at passion instead of fear. And it breathes more passion. It breathes more energy to say, I'm welcoming this in, and it feels aligned. It feels regenerative, like something is, again, not only restoring but regenerating your energy. Pile number 1, please, Spirit. What abundance is Saturn bringing pile number 1, abundance or blessings? Please, Spirit. What abundance or blessings? Sacrifice. And it says, sometimes surrender is painful. God's cutting away all that needs to go. Illusions, obsessions, addictions. It's a sacrifice to love. Okay, so you are definitely going to be letting go of a lot within your Saturn return. Letting go in the sense of like reducing. Saturn is not a big fan of clutter. Saturn is not a big fan of unnecessary energy. Jupiter is more of the energy of like attracting as much as I can, experiencing as much as I can, luxury overload, an abundance of everything all at once. But with Saturn, it takes sacrifice in order to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I feel like there's a lot that you are letting go of within your Saturn return in order to, again, welcome in the more aligned, to attract everything that, you know. I heard the saying, attracting everything that you can exist for the rest of your life with. Like, after you experience the Saturn return, I feel like you're not going to really want for anything. And that's a hard thing to say because there are many people in a state of need and want, and like having their necessities not being met on a day-to-day. And I'm not sure how that energy would show up for you, pile number 1, but I do believe that when you let go of a lot of the stuff that you just don't need, that you feel are like cluttering your space or that are weighing you down, either physically or like energetically, you start to see that there's other more aligned energy that comes into your life. You're attracting the aligned. You're attracting the things that really make you feel passionate and that hold some kind of foundational nourishing. And it doesn't feel like an item necessarily. When I say removing clutter, that doesn't necessarily mean physical items, but of course take what resonates. It's the surrendering of energy that doesn't align, thoughts and behaviors that don't align, illusions, obsessions, or addictions that just feel like they're chaining you, holding you chained to something else. At the bottom of the deck, you have extraordinary. There's a wild and impetuous uniqueness to you that deserves to be honored. And that is exactly what Saturn is developing within you, especially with all this Leo energy. And the peacock within the extraordinary card is very vibrant, colorful and, boisterous, very boisterous. So I feel like you have a wild side that is being reawakened after your Saturn return. And it's so interesting that this example is coming to mind. Whether you are a Sam Smith fan or not, Sam Smith, is a perfect example of someone who is coming out of their Saturn return, and they just through their music and through their visuals and how they want to present their music, it seems like they had an extraordinary awakening to their own energy within their Saturn return. And that's what the Leo energy feels like. So you don't necessarily have to be a Saturn in Leo placement, but this could qualify as Saturn challenging you to show a more unique side to yourself that deserves to be honored. And so that means that you would definitely have to sacrifice a lot of the things that keep you not embracing your wildness and uniqueness. having to sacrifice those things. You have the death card and it fell out in reverse. Very, very sacrificial. Very sacrificial. We always see the death card with that, the humongous scythe that it's holding. And I believe that's the correct way to say it. But that is a symbol of death. That is a symbol of regeneration or restoration, where you really do. You shed off what is dying. And that feels very aligned with the sacrifice card here. They don't have anything in their hands necessarily to signal them doing that, but you can see their armed race here in the card if you're looking, and see that it's like you're making one swift movement within your Saturn return, and it's something risky that you did not necessarily know you would be able to end it. The ending is inevitable of situations in your life, but I don't believe that you necessarily believed in this death card reverse. You didn't believe that it was time for something to end. And that is something that Saturn can deal with too, is endings. Endings in the nature that something else is being called to be rebuilt. And then we have the Fool card that came out. So that is a very, very telling sign of something wanting to be rebuilt in your life. It's needing to be rebuilt. You have the Ten of Wands here with Saturn and Sagittarius. So this could be another Saturn placement of, some of you out there watching. But you're definitely needing to restore your energy during your Saturn return. And that is why you will have a lot of situations that make you feel stifled, or stifled is like the best word. Stifled or suffocated. That suffocating energy where you're trying to catch a breath. And this Fool card feels like that brand new beginning that you're really, really eager to have. I see that all of these zodiac signs are represented here in the Fool card, meaning that you have a brand new cycle opening up to you, that almost, it feels like within a year's time, will really show you and prove to you why it was important for you to let go of certain oppressive thought patterns or behaviors. This does feel like an individual journey. It doesn't feel like someone has necessarily locked this gate and taken your key. I feel like you do have the key to letting go of a lot of burdens that exist within you. Saturn, again, is all about responsibilities, but our responsibilities are not meant to oppress us or to make us feel like we are endangered or captured in place. I think that you have very much so manifested this new beginning because you know that you deserve a more passionate existence, a more free existence. And Saturn has challenged you to embrace that, to go after that, to really charge forward. With the Chariot here, you have a lot of major arcana. Saturn is challenging you to charge forward towards this freedom that you say that you want so badly. You are going to, again, have to sacrifice some things in order to move forward with this understanding that I do not deserve to be oppressed. I deserve to do something risky, go out of my norm, step out of the norm that I think is meant to happen, and really let something go. The Chariot is depicted here blindfolded, so you're not necessarily 100% sure of where you're being drawn to right now. But what it feels like to me is like anything is better than being stuck in this cage. Anything out there is better than being stuck here. And it's not a grass is greener type situation where you're idealizing someone else's life. it is, you just cannot exist in the state in which you are existing right now. It doesn't feel comfortable to you. You know that there is a change that needs to happen. You know that there are things that you need to let go of, and you're attracting. You're putting this energy out here, trying to bring it to you. Really trying to bring it to you, but your desires cannot meet you at a closed door. So it feels risky to you stepping out and taking a chance. You feel like things could change suddenly, that certain things will be almost impossible. You have the Devil card here and the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. The Devil card is here. And it's interesting because there's this DNA strand here, but also the skull, which is connected strongly to the Death card that you have. And the Death card and the Devil card is nothing to fear at all, because they are not literal embodiments of like religious aspects to life. The Devil and the Death card are huge transformational energy. The Devil card is actually ruled by Capricorn, the zodiac, and it tells me that, you know, you have this idea of what success looks like, and it has been very oppressive. It has been very demanding of you. It has been deceiving to you to believe that, you know, it's futile to ask for freedom and creative ambition and creative autonomy, but it's not. And I think that the more you start to witness other generations really trying to do whatever they want creatively and to make a successful life out of it, you want to try to do something a little bit risky on your own. And this is not a message from your Saturn to tell you to quit your 9-to-5 or anything of that nature, because Saturn needs stability. You know that, and I'm sure pile number one, you are very aware that there's a certain amount of stability that needs to exist in order for you to feel comfortable emotionally. And I'm also noticing that behind this, you know, Devil embodiment card, that is Saturn right there, the ringed planet of discipline, obedience, and structure. So you are absolutely heavily connected to Saturn because you had it show up twice within your tarot cards. But it's telling me like you want structure. You need it as a system in your life, but you also want freedom with the Saturn and Sagittarius. Like you really struggle with that duality of offering yourself the ability to lean into that passionate side that exists within you. You may fight feelings and thoughts about, you know, there not being enough structure that exists within your passions. You may be convinced. And so I see you during the Saturn return restoring your thoughts and ideas about your dreams and your desires. You want to refresh. You want to hit the reset button. You want to really battle anything that keeps you stagnant. And because you only have one minor arcana and the rest are major, this Saturn return that you're facing is huge. It's huge. It's monumental to you in your life. It will be a very important time in your life during your Saturn return. And I'm sure everyone says that, but for you specifically, pile number one, it's important because you're facing a lot of ideals. That's what I see in the Devil card. You're facing a lot of ideals that tell you that there has to be a certain level of oppression that exists in order for you to feel like you've worked hard enough. It's almost as if you need that wall to push against, or it feels too easy. It feels too simple. And you want it to be meaningful, but you know, Saturn is also telling you sometimes things can be simple. Sometimes it's us that thinks about it too hard. Sometimes it's us that guards ourselves and not necessarily the circumstances of life that keep us from reaching success. You do have to take a risk. You do have to do something out of your norm. You do have to do something different. You have to embrace change as like a lifestyle choice. When things are changing, that means that they're not staying the same. That means that it's not stagnant. It means that there's progress that has been made. And that's what you say that you want in life. You want it to progress. You want it to change in ways that you feel and that make you feel excited about life. There have been certain changes, I'm sure, in your life that you have not felt eager about because you felt like you had no control. You had no say over that change. And this is something that you do have a choice over and around. Whether you want to let yourself be free and to create and to express and to be wild and to be seen and to not be afraid to be seen, or doing it the way that you have always done it. It's going to be up to you. You're going to have to really nurture your mind, embrace creativity, not really stifle yourself. You're going to have to challenge yourself. That is, again, what Saturn is all about. It's challenging yourself in order to help you manifest the things that you say that you want. So this is a message brought to you by your Saturn return, pile number 1. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. I would love it if you comment down below on how your Saturn return is treating you and what transformational ideas or lifestyle changes you have been embracing. And I would love to see you in another reading. Peace. Hello, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. You chose this beautiful crystal along with the Ink Pot Tea Leaf Oracle card. Okay. And the ink pot says problems to be resolved. So what I can initially see in this energy is that your Saturn return will have challenges, as everyone, typically does within their Saturn return. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you always learn something after your Saturn return. Either it's about yourself or it relates back to yourself in some way. And so that means that there will be challenges. Everyone has a challenge when it comes to Saturn. It is a very disciplined type of energy that it makes you learn certain lessons in life through certain experiences. And they're not always challenges that we can opt out of necessarily. It's just something that takes place in our life that is meant to show us, the character of ourselves, the responsibility that we are able to take on, the challenges that we're able to overcome. Saturn is a tricky planet in that way. So with you having this card, it's absolutely nothing to worry about, especially if you haven't actually had your Saturn return yet. Life is going to be filled with challenges. They're going to be filled with problems that are meant to be resolved, but nothing is necessarily permanent. Maybe permanent in the sense like it's not for you, but of course we're going to get all into that energy, and I'm going to look deeply as to why this ink pot energy is here. I just wanted to start off by saying, you have nothing to worry about. You have the ability, especially when you're watching this reading, you have the ability to resolve whatever problems exist in your life. And I was thinking about something earlier today, and I'm wondering if I'll be able to word it the same way that I thought about it. But I was basically just thinking how problems exist, challenges exist, but there's this universal energy that gives us the ability to resolve those issues. In a sense, like there will always be a solution. There will always be something there, a counteractive type of energy that will be available to you in order for you to resolve whatever problems are in your life. And those are for the problems that are meant to be resolved. Some issues, some challenges, some things are meant to stay exactly how they are. And of course, discernment is a key factor in knowing when to continue to try to resolve an issue and when to let it go. And I think all of these different energies are represented within your Saturn return. So I'm going to look and see what this energy is here for you. I'm going to look in the Oracle, and then we will get to the Tarot. Pile number 2, please, Spirit. A message from their Saturn return. Pile number 2. Quite a lot. You have awakening and present. I'm going to keep shuffling. Pile number 2, please, Spirit. I'm going to do the one that popped out and showed to me. Offerings with wealth here. What a beautiful card. What gorgeous energy. You also had plant medicine come out with truth, but I'm going to put this one back. At the bottom of the deck, you have soul retrieval with reclamation. So within your Saturn return, you are reclaiming a lot. You are retrieving your soul. You are awakening in some sense to yourself. You are doing this with the aid of another person. I see this strongly, an elder in your life during your Saturn return, who may be offering you guidance, wisdom, or, really being hands-on with the help of you retrieving your soul and retrieving parts of your soul that you had thought that you had let go of or lost in the process of trying not only to gain wealth, but stability in your life. So this Saturn return is going to be very powerful for you. This may be your very first Saturn return. Again, so you could be turning 27, 28, or 29, and it is initiating in your life at this time. I can see that, and it is possible to see people who come into newfound wealth during their Saturn return, depending on what kind of energy they've put out into the world. And it's kind of like Saturn is now blessing you with new offerings in your life for the hard work that you have put in previous to your Saturn returning to its natal placement. So I think this is absolutely beautiful. You're working on a few different things within your Saturn return, and this message is kind of connected, interconnected with one another between your wealth, but also your spiritual practices. So let's see what else Spirit wants you to know about your Saturn return. I am receiving a message just from these two cards here. Whatever issues that you're having financially, whatever problems that kind of seem inconvenient in regards to you gaining more wealth and gaining more stability financially, I do see them being resolved within your Saturn return. Again, it could be like the finalization of paperwork, stuff that you have had to get done like professionally. Saturn will challenge us to get all of our ducks in order before certain gifts and blessings start to come into our life. That is really one of the good things about this planet and, the energy that it challenges us with, because Jupiter is a benevolent, godfather where they grant you as many wishes as they can. Saturn is asking that you put in that work first. And this is something that you have learned, even possibly subconsciously, you have learned, like, in order for me to get the results that I need to put in a certain amount of effort, a certain amount of work. And so I feel like that is something that you have definitely awakened to within your Saturn return. And now you're starting to see a lot of benefits. Again, even though there are some minor inconveniences that are challenging you at this time. So pile number 2, please, Spirit, for their Saturn return. A message, please. Be the hunter, not the hunted. Okay? So I do believe that there is some energy in your life. And you also have the number 8, which again is divinely connected to your abundance. You definitely have something in your sight. You have another owl at the bottom of the deck. Defend to the end. The worthwhile, or the worthwhile. Um, a lot of wisdom that you are gaining. A lot of like long-term knowledge that you can carry for the rest of this lifetime that you're gaining within the Saturn return. You are definitely going to be feeling more wise with experience, more wise, also just with stability and your ability to maintain wealth in your life. I do feel like you are going to be feeling structurally more confident. But the bee, the hunter, not the hunted, is telling me like you have your eyes set on something, and it's kind of telling you to pursue it, not to wait to be pursued, if that makes sense. Saturn, again, offers many different challenges in life, and it could be that you are being challenged at this time to go after something that you normally wouldn't, to literally hunt something and to be so focused and persistent with something that you have no choice but to reap the rewards of this. With the wealth card coming out, it's like you're being very persistent over this next few years. That Saturn will be transiting your sign. You will feel almost initiated, like called to really go for something and go for it strongly and not give up until you reach success in some endeavor. And this ink pot is here, I believe, to let you know that problems will come up. Problems will happen, detours, and thinking about ink spilling over. There will be messes that need to be cleaned up within your Saturn return, but it's essential. It's like, again, an example of how Saturn can work in our life is we spill something. It's something minor at first, a liquid or something like that, but if we leave it there and it's not in a spot that will dry up immediately, that's a hazard. That's a falling hazard, literally. So, and I'm not saying that this is an example that will literally happen to you during your Saturn return. It's an example of why it is essential to clean up the mess before it grows larger than it needs to, so that you can know that you have stayed ahead of it in some way. So the be the hunter, not the hunted is also telling me like be aware of your surroundings, be cautious as you are gazing and focusing and hunting and being very direct with something. Be also aware of your surroundings and your environment as well. For some reason that came out as important. Just a certain alertness. Carry a certain alertness with you, not anxiety. Try to separate your anxiety from your alertness and just be aware that, messes can cause more harm if they're not tended to right away. If that makes sense. Pile number 2, let's see what other blessings or gifts Saturn is bringing you during your return. Lovely. You have the inner child card. Allow me to give compassion and love to that little one. Let me attend to its deepest needs and feelings. So this is absolutely a blessing that is happening during your Saturn return. You're definitely speaking with, interacting with, nurturing and nourishing your inner child. And you have outrageous openness. Dear love, open me to your will, release me from my attachments, surprise and delight me with your plan. You know what's needed and I am open to receive, okay? So during your Saturn return, you're gonna feel like you're being cracked open. If that is a accurate enough description, it's gonna feel like you are more open to a lot of different things. that you weren't necessarily open to growing up, like becoming an adolescent, becoming an adult. You kind of shed certain things that your inner child was very happy to exist within or interact with. So maybe you used to think that playing certain games were childish, or maybe you used to think that playing hide and seek was childish, or something like that, with the be the hunter, not the hunted. There's something about just being outrageously open to new things in your life, and releasing you from certain attachments that keep you too serious. Saturn is a serious energy. Saturn is serious because you call on Saturn when it's time to get things done, when it's time to stick to something and to build a structure and to be committed. But it also is here to tell you, like, you don't have to take life so seriously all the time. So you're really feeding yourself compassion during your Saturn return, letting yourself play a little bit more, letting yourself be open a little bit more as well. I'm curious about why defend to the end. The worthwhile is at the bottom of the deck, but I can just point it out briefly and say, if something is worth defending, you should absolutely hold that thought. It's like, why do I feel like this is important? Because it is. And especially if it comes a point in during your Saturn return where you feel like you have wanted to creatively express yourself in a different way, you've wanted to play, in a different way. And you may be thinking also, as an adult watching this video, like, adults don't play. They don't have playtime. We don't have recess. We have bills and responsibilities. And that is a part of Saturn that we all know very well. But another part of Saturn is the energy that it takes to make things happen, to support that Saturn energy. And it can't be serious all the time, which is why I was talking about that. So defending your right to be creative, to be silly, to be playful, and to sometimes recognize a problem and approach it as a child would, trying to approach a solution as a child would. And again, not taking it so seriously. Messes happen. People with children know that messes happen. So really, I think there's an adaptation to your mindset that's happening during your Saturn return that allows you to tackle things as your inner child would, from a more peaceful state. You're also doing as much as you can do in order to acknowledge and fulfill certain desires and needs. Again, stuff that you have put on the back burner, or not that it wasn't important, or it's like, how do I want to explain this? The things that you have put to the side, that you have put to the back of your mind because there's other things to worry about throughout the day. That's not Saturn saying don't get things done. It's like, have fun while you're getting those things done. And I say have fun with the Sagittarius energy. It's saying be joyful, be open. This is also another number 23. The defend to the end was also 23 at the bottom of the deck. Be joyful, have fun, play in your abundance. You are having a very, very wealthy Saturn return with abundance here and wealth. There's a certain luxuriousness that is going to exist around you for your Saturn return that I don't think you were expecting. Because when I think about the cards, I think about the Sagittarius energy. It kind of like shot out very quickly and you weren't really expecting it. Wealth is, again, something that you build over time with structure, with discipline, all those Saturn things, but it can happen pretty quickly. Like, things happen energetically in the background that we're unaware of, and it gravitates people to us. Money is an energy. At the bottom of the deck, you have clarity with the Virgo energy. So you, I think, are going to have a lot of things that your eyes are opened to within the Saturn return. Again, how you were making money, how you have made money in the past, how you feel about making money now. I'm so curious as to what these problems will be, because you have such good energy surrounding your finances, and I'm wondering, what this problem will look like for you. I'm going to try to get more details through the tarot. But right now, you have a lot of financial opportunities that will be presented to you during your Saturn return. It will make you feel wealthy. It will make you feel abundant. It will affirm your inner child in some way to let you know that, you can still hold and be true to this aspect of yourself and be a functioning, healthy, and wealthy adult in the structure of the world that exists today. With the be the hunter and not the hunted, I'm also seeing something trying to pursue you. It's like, be the hunter, be the pursuer, be the initiator, not the hunted. And you think about something being hunted, it's a victim in some sort. It's some energy that is trying to consume you in some way. I'm not sure where this is coming from. Let me see through the tarot what other details I can get, because during your Saturn return, I think you're really stepping up. You're really trying to initiate. I keep hearing initiate on something, take flight on something, take action, be the cause in some way of something happening. And it's bringing you a lot of abundance. Like you going after something during your Saturn return, something that, again, there are like these initial steps that need to be resolved, but you going after it is going to produce a lot of wealth for you. So I'm going to look and see, why is Inkpot here for pile number 2, please, Spirit? Why is Inkpot the center of their Saturn return? Okay. You have the Hierophant. Wow. So it's spiritual. It's spiritual. It's spiritually connected. Problems that are being resolved for you. I think you're doing a lot of learning, because the Hierophant is always suggesting learning, higher learning, spiritual learning, feeling called to dive deeply. I also feel like the Hierophant is connected to Sagittarius. That may be correct, but don't, take my word on it too strongly. Pile number 2. You also have another 5. The 23 was a 5, that 23 was a 5, and the Hierophant is a 5. So you could be seeing 5s a lot, not only during your Saturn return, but like before it starts and possibly after as well, signifying this really big change going on in your life. But the Hierophant, being the first card out for you, says that a lot of the issues that you have during your Saturn return can be resolved privately and internally. A lot of the problems will be resolved spiritually before physically, if that makes sense. You could, and I'm trying to think of an example, you could be learning more astrologically about yourself. During your Saturn return, you may be more curious about how Saturn is affecting your life and how these challenges are Saturn connected during your return. And that could be a part of this Hierophant as well. Some of you could have issues with your beliefs, or you are restructuring your faith system in some way, maybe switching from a religion that you've been connected to all of your life, since again, childhood, and you find new wealth in a new religion or a new spiritual practice. Let's see what else, please, Spirit. Why is the Hierophant here for pile number 2? Why is the Hierophant here? The Lust card, which I do believe is Strength. Very interesting. We have another major arcana, the Emperor at the bottom of the deck currently. Something is testing your strength again within your Saturn return. This challenge is not of the physical nature. When I see the Strength card, it rarely talks about your physical strength. It's not something that's necessarily being highlighted as important. It's your spiritual strength and your spiritual fortitude. I think, especially with the Be the Hunter and not the hunted, it is much easier to fall into a life that places you in the position of being the hunted. I say that because of the society that I currently live in, living within the United States. It's like a dog eats dog kind of world. You have to grind, and I feel like we're all, and I say we're all grinding so hard that we aren't understanding that we're grinding ourselves into dust. And it takes a lot of strength to walk away from that kind of system, especially because you have so much abundance and wealth here. But this is also spiritually connected to you, and maybe a wound, an inner child wound, or something that is difficult because you have your strength here. It's difficult for you to kind of walk the life path that you know you deserve and that you know that you're meant to and that you're here to walk, without being swayed to live your life a different way, if that makes sense. So having a 9-to-5, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not for everyone. And even the people who are working 9-to-5s, who know that it's not for them, but are still doing it anyway, they seem just completely unhappy. And it's not a seem, they're unhappy. And I think this is something that you're trying to battle with all of your strength, with all of your might. You're trying to really go along your life path with guidance that is non-physical and that keeps you connected to your abundance and your wealth in some specific way. You also have the Princess of Chalices, or the Page of Cups. Okay, so I did sense some emotional connectivity to this Saturn return. I think you're going to spend those 2.5 years where it's in your natal sign, learning a lot about yourself. So you could do a lot of emotional observations of yourself, journaling, witnessing yourself, maybe doing an inner child meditation, or connecting or talking to your inner child, speaking to your inner child, and really getting to know that aspect of yourself. And some of you may even be interested in watching the message from your inner child pick a card that I did a while back. It's here on my channel if that's something that interests you. But I do believe that you're learning a lot about yourself emotionally and your emotional makeup, how you are connected to people, how you are connected to the earth. There's something about like the water in your body, which is what Cups represents. There's something about the water in your body that is connected to everything else, around you. You may even be learning about how our bodies speak to other bodies without actual communication. Like how people who menstruate, who have menstrual cycles, they start linking up, like their cycles link up. If you hang around them long enough, you may be curious about how that works, how the moon is connected to our menstrual cycles, how the moon is connected to every ounce of liquid in our body. There's something here about learning more and more about the world, how you exist in it, how you relate to it, and how it reacts to you. Because you receiving wealth and you receiving abundance is also an energy. It's an energy that has been activated in some way, again, by you doing work and labor, putting energy out, and you receive back. I see this whole process being very curious to you. You also have the Six of Cups with pleasure. And we have Sun in Scorpio, so you could be a Sun in Scorpio watching this. You could also have Saturn in Scorpio, but that's probably only for a few of you. Six of Cups, pleasure. Your Saturn return, honey, it's going to be a good one. It's really going to be a good one. Again, problems to be resolved at the center, maybe more so problems from the past rather than necessarily what is an issue to you today. I think the way that you used to handle things emotionally is going to be very telling to you during your Saturn return, how you have evolved in some way, because the Six of Cups talks about past emotional memories, childhood, upbringing, things that connect us to our root. And we were just talking about that in the Page of Cups. So with the Six of Cups here, it's just an echo or confirmation to say, you know, you're going to have a lot of memories that come up during your Saturn return. And it may be like around your birthday, because the Saturn return lasts 2.5 years. So it could be that, you know, each of those years around your birthday, you start to really just, it comes up subconsciously on how you used to be as a child and how that has affected you as an adult and how that has affected your inner child. Because we don't just grow up and then this, energy doesn't exist anymore. We carry our inner child with us everywhere we go. You also have the Prince of Cups or the Knight of Cups. So a very emotional time for you during your Saturn return. It actually says water and air here and water and earth on the Page of Cups. Very interesting. The Knight of Cups tells me like you are someone who only moves towards the things that really touches your heart or makes you feel emotionally connected in some way. You're an individual who is really moved by emotions, but also moved by your curiosity with the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck as well. You're moved by your emotions and your curiosity. You don't invest energy unless you are emotionally or spiritually curious about something. And that's not to say that it's a bad thing or that you're selfish with your energy. If you think that that's a negative thing, it's just to say that you are very particular about what it is that you share energy with, who you share energy with. During your Saturn return, I think that's going to be an aspect to you that is heightened, but also transformed in a specific way. Like, I think you're getting emotional comfort and pleasure and enjoyment in different ways during your Saturn return. You're going to allow yourself to really be involved with pleasure. You're going to allow yourself to feel things that you did not feel or you weren't allowed to feel as a child. I'm just so interested as to why the abundance came out for you twice. I'm going to pull out another deck, but while I am doing that, I'm going to keep talking about what's already here. But yes, so the Knight of Cups just tells me like when you move towards something, it's going to be because it spoke to your heart first. Um, it's also less intimidating to have problems to resolve if you have approached it with a certain level of curiosity that says, no matter what challenge comes during this experience, I'm going to be okay with it because I felt so called to be in this environment. I felt called to be here, to learn, to experience, to ascend spiritually in some way based off of this experience that's happening in my life. So if there are problems, it's okay. I know that either way, I'm coming out of this with a great amount of abundance and wealth of knowledge. Let's see what else, please, Spirit, for pile number 2. Why is abundance and wealth here? Because you have Cups cards. It's not like we have a lot of Pentacles, which deals with that, which tells me like you have an abundance of emotional matters that are really going to be fulfilling to you during your Saturn return. New friendships, the reconnection of old friendships, even a new depth to your emotional connections, not just friendships, but relationships in all matter. And you feeling deeply connected to many different things around you. Like it could be a book that you find that you used to read as a kid or as a teenager, and you feel emotionally connected to it because you remember all the words and phrases and meaningful things that you read in that book that connected to you deeply. So that could be a part of it as well. Why is abundance here, please, Spirit, for pile number 2? There's body work. Your life purpose involves body work, such as massage therapy, energy healing, physical therapy, or exercise training. So I think even if your career focus is not on those specific things, there is something here about you moving your body or moving the energy through your body during your Saturn return that's going to help you to release a lot of energy, release a lot of things that have been stored around you and within you. But it's a part of your life purpose during your Saturn return to, maybe some of you are even getting Reiki done or are involved like with getting physical therapy. Maybe that's something that is needed to happen. Again, during your Saturn return specifically. Let's see what else. Please, Spirit. Pile number 2. Study, yes, with the Hierophant energy here. Reading, research, and education help you gain confidence and clarity about your career. So that is why the Hierophant is here. That is why wealth is here, because you have studied your ass off. You have really gained new skills, new knowledge. You've researched things, and it's taken a lot of leveling up for you intellectually. So some of you during your Saturn return could get a certain amount of certifications, or not that is a signifier as to how intelligent you are, but that may be something that you're into. Is in another owl here. That's so funny. Wisdom overload, honey, where you're getting certifications, degrees, or some kind of recognition around your research and intellectual abilities. It's going to be really important to you during your Saturn return. It's going to show you how strong that you are, strong of mind, how you really went for something, the hunter, not the hunted. You really gave it your all, and you came out with physical proof that it was meant for you to do those things that you felt called to. At the bottom of the deck, you have spiritual teacher. You heal with your classes, sessions, and seminars. So some of you could be leading these study groups, helping people to study as you did, I'm not sure where that's coming from. It's probably someone specific that needs to hear that. But the classes, sessions, and seminars that you have worked your ass off to learn as much about is probably definitely a part of your purpose during your Saturn return. So do not be afraid, to be put into a more authoritative position, especially if people have told you or are telling you over and over again, like your notes were so helpful, or the way that you talked about this was a much needed perspective because I couldn't really understand what it was that the professor was saying the first time, type of energy. So that could be represented through your Saturn return as well. I'm trying to make sure that there's nothing else here. Really go for what makes you happy during your Saturn return. And I'm sure this is a message that you hear all the time. Follow your happiness. Do what makes you happy. That's absolutely much easier said than done. But with all of these Cups cards here, and especially the Six of Cups, really get back to a rooted happiness, something that made you happy in the past that was not attached to anything else. It was just a separate, joyful thing that you did. And even if you feel called to learn more about that, you're definitely going to be learning. You're definitely going to be in a head in the books type of energy in regards to your Saturn return. You could be feeling that really now, like being oh so curious. And it's, a curiosity to the point where you have to pull out a book or pull out Google in order to find as much as you can about it. I really see that as a big theme of your Saturn return, and being surrounded by wealth, like being surrounded by really luxurious things and people, even just based on the position that you are placing yourself in during your Saturn return. Pile number 2. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it brought you a little bit of clarity, as the card suggests. If it did, please give a big thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. I would love it if you left a comment down below to let me know how your Saturn return is going. You can be at any phase or stage of this return, and I'm hoping that this reading will resonate for you deeply. And I would love to see you in another reading. Peace. Hello, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose the beautiful Tiger's Eye crystal. So gorgeous. And you also chose the Tower Tea Leaf card. Solid foundation, success with effort. And I actually just saw the Tower card within a tarot deck that I just shuffled off camera. So I'm curious to see what other Tower cards you have coming out. But this is a very good card, signifying that during your Saturn return, you are building a solid foundation and you will reach success with the efforts that you are putting in. Saturn loves effort. Saturn loves effort. They love, that solidness of a foundation. But they also love that, and I'm saying Saturn, the energy of Saturn loves when that foundation actually reaches a certain level of completion. It's something to be very proud of. It's something that is a physical emblem of how much effort you have put in. So I think that this is the same kind of pride that you will be carrying during your own Saturn return, where you're just like, wow, I've reached the success because I've put in so much effort. Now, typically the Tower card can be depicted through the tarot as something that is happening in your life abruptly, that is taking place, that is changing, huge transformation that you don't have control over. And so with this Tower card here, it is a much different energy. It's telling you like you have put in the effort and you have reached success. And this is something that is all about Saturn. Like Saturn will give us the tools. Saturn will give us the tools, but they will not build the building for us. So I feel like this is a great representation of what is going on for you During your Saturn return, you have been given the tools, you have mapped and marked and measured, you have looked at almost every detail that you can in order to make sure that an endeavor is successful in your life. And I see that it's happening for you. I want to see even more details that I can get from this Tower card for pile number 3, please, Spirit. Okay. You have passion coming out. Very nice. With birth and renewal at the bottom of the deck. And this is all very, very beautiful energy. Only for maybe a handful of you. Some of you may be giving birth during your Saturn return, or you may be conceiving with this passion card during your Saturn return. Fire. There's something here that you are very passionate about. I believe an energy like this came out for the first group, but I'm sure that I will be reading this much differently than that one. The fire card tells me like it took a lot of passion for you to build such a solid foundation in your life. You had to be interactive with it constantly. You had to give your energy to it constantly in order for you to see and reach the success. And this is something that you were not what's the word I'm looking for? This is something that wasn't a burden to you. You were very much so eager to build this tower of success. I'm going to look and see, again, through the oracle, how much detail I can get. But I do see that whatever challenge Saturn has placed you through, it didn't seem too much like a burden. It definitely was not a burden to you in the sense like you didn't want to do it. You know, like what deep from within your soul, you know that you were meant to build this. You knew that you were meant to be a part of it. You knew that it was meant to be a part of your purpose. And I think this is something that has really engulfed you in a way. Let me see. Okay, be the hunter, not the hunted. So interesting because I shuffled this deck really well. So I'm going to put it back in and make sure that this is your card. Pile number 3, please, Spirit. A message from their Saturn return. That card came out for the last pile. So I always want to make sure that the energy is cleansed. Pile number 3, please, Spirit. Thank you. Power of attraction. It's interesting because this came out for pile 1, but I know that I have shuffled really well. So this is the one that is meant to be here for you. You have successfully built something with a lot of effort based on the laws of attraction and the power that you hold to attract something to completion. At the bottom of the deck, you have trust yourself. Okay. So 31 here, and power of attraction was 13. You could be seeing a lot of 4s lately, or Saturn could be transiting your 4th house. Take what resonates to all those astrology folks out there. You have almost single-handedly brought this success together in your life. Again, fueled by passion, purpose, and a little bit of magic as well. You have gone about something very strategically. And every step of the way, you had some kind of level of law of attraction or manifestation that was involved. You have really, as I mentioned in the first pile, you've gone about this process of alchemy within your own energy to match that of the things you've been trying to build successfully in your life. You did it. Like you really did do this. Because with the passion energy here, I do see that something is just as passionate about you as you are about it. And that is why it has been drawn to you at this time. I think during your Saturn return, you were basically just challenged to find what makes you passionate. You were challenged to go after something with like ferociousness. You were called to trust yourself in this endeavor and to know that you are supported by all of the energetic beings that exist around you. And you were also supported in this alchemical process of your energy trying to like connect with that other thing. You were supported by your spirit guides through this endeavor. So I want to see more information. I want to get more about how Saturn has brought this success to your life. Again, we know it was through your effort, your passion for something, your passion to make something happen, this eagerness to make something happen. We know that that was a part of this manifestation process, but what else is it? What gifts or blessings is Saturn bringing to pile number 3 during your Saturn return, please, Spirit? Pile number 3. Saturn, your Saturn placement has really appreciated your focus and your undying loyalty to something. I see this person here with their eyes closed and they're just really feeling what it is that they're doing. They're so deeply connected to the element that they are holding. I really feel like that is represented through you and through what you are either currently going through or will be going through with your Saturn return, or what you've already gone through. You could be witnessing this, pick a card, at any stage of your Saturn return. So this could be the end or the beginning for you. But you were very involved in this process of building. You were very involved. You were very dedicated. You were very enlivened by something that really kept you going or is keeping you going. So let's see. You have your path. Had to blow that candle out. It's getting a little low. You have your path, and it says, "Dear Lord, dear God, dear whoever, help me trust that there's a plan far beyond what I can see through my fears and illusions." So this is absolutely a gift that your Saturn is bringing to you. You know that this is a part of your path. Again, you know that this is a part of your purpose. Being involved with whatever it is, or having built whatever it is that you built, because it's already built, honey. The tower is standing. It is standing tall. It is successful. You are proud of it. And it has a really stable foundation. And this is a part of your path. And especially if you've gotten to the end of a journey in some sense, during your Saturn return, or at the end of it, whichever place you're at, you may question, like, was this a part of my purpose? Was I meant to spend so much time in this area, focus so strongly on this thing in order to make it happen? Because now I've done that, and it's almost as if you're looking for a new thing to attract. I also did, in my mind, I said it, but I didn't say it out loud. This tiger's eye has a magnet connected to the bottom of it, which I think is very unique. I'm not sure where I got it from, don't remember, but it's kind of like that is what you're doing. You're pulling things, you're magnetizing things towards you. And as something is possibly completing in your life, it could be that you're preparing to attract more things, and you're just wanting to know that you are still aligned to this path. You want to know that beyond what you can see, that you want to feel like you are being led, and you absolutely are. There is quite possibly a new passion coming into your life as you have reached success in an endeavor. Of course, I'll get more detail through the tarot, but it feels like your path is continuous. You're still living, you're still achieving, you're still wanting to strive and thrive for something. And yes, we had birth or renewal in some sense. So there is a new beginning happening in your life, especially if it's not physical birth. And underneath that was endurance. So it will take some endurance for you to keep going because you were so passionate about this tower. You were so passionate in the building and the completion and like the success of it. And now you're wondering if it's a moment to take a pause, but there is something being birthed. There's something new happening, and it could be new within this tower moment. It's not like you're creating a whole new business necessarily, but a new endeavor within what you have already accomplished, if that makes sense. So your path is continuing, you're continuing along it. You know, Saturn wants you to hold on to a certain level of endurance because what I'm hearing is the fun isn't over yet. At the bottom of the deck, you have courage. Let me be open to courageously take the steps that are shown. Okay, so you are, during your Saturn return, receiving more and more and more information on next steps. And, you know, you're learning more about what it's going to take from you in order to continue to show up for whatever it is that Saturn is bringing you through. But what I'm feeling like is like you're doing all of this for a purpose, which I'm sure you have some kind of inkling or idea of. You just don't know the magnitude of that purpose. And it's building this foundation for you that is like 12 stories high, if that makes sense. So you've just gotten done with the first 6 floors. And I know that I said it's completed here, but you know, there's design, there's structure, there's other things that you want to put into this metaphorical building that you are connected to. And there's more that you are meant to achieve in life in general. No matter what age you're at, no matter what stage of your Saturn return you are at, Saturn is saying there's more that requires your attention, that requires that passionate, beautiful energy that you have. And especially if you want more and you're trying to attract more, Saturn is telling you that you must replenish your energy, renew your energy in some way in order to keep going with that same enthusiasm and optimism that you had for the first level of transformation. So let's see. Okay, you have ritual with the sweet corn here, a number 10, and we have the Leo symbol. So some of you could be Saturn in Leo or Saturn in Aquarius. I do want to start mentioning the opposite zodiac sign. And at the bottom of the deck, you have grounding with the potato energy and Virgo. So some of you could also have Saturn in Virgo or Saturn in Pisces. So there is an aspect here about, especially because you had the ritual card here, you practicing oracle and self-care. I don't know why that came out next. Practicing oracle, tarot, astrology, or some kind of occult self-care that allows you to ground yourself and to be grounded as you are, again, moving forward in life. The flow is not stopping, but it is essential for you to have the ability to ground yourself. And you are doing this through ritual. I see it. You are not only manifesting through ritual, but you are, you know, healing through ritual as well, preparing yourself through ritual, kind of settling the energy of the past in order to prepare you for the beginning, grounding yourself before a new start to something. And I see that working out very well for you. During your Saturn return, you will have new rituals that come into your life And with the sweet corn, it tells me like it's going to be very satisfying rituals. Again, something that sparks your creativity or really makes you excited to have these newfound rituals. Because the sweet corn is it's as it sounds, it's sweet. You could be doing a lot of smoke cleanses or smoke meditations, fire meditations. Because we have the fire here. I wasn't looking at the incense within ritual. And this is drawing you closer to your spiritual practice, and it is, building your faith in your manifestation abilities during your Saturn return. Yes. Spirit, can I please get more details for pile number 3 about their Saturn return, about their path, about anything? Please, Spirit, any further details for pile number 3? Yeah, you are using rituals to harmonize this attraction, to bring something not only to completion, but to a new beginning as well. Let's see, there's 4 of them that popped out. At the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups, which, okay. The Fool, of course. The Fool card signifying a major new beginning in your life. You also have the 7 of Swords with Moon and Aquarius. Some of you could have that placement. You also have the 2 of Pentacles with Jupiter and Capricorn. Some of you could also have that placement, the 2 of Pentacles. Very interesting. And you also have the 3 of Wands, okay, with Sun and Aries. So, and that matches that fire energy very well. But some of those could be your placements. Of course, again, take what resonates. You are looking to expand yourself and your creative endeavors, and during your Saturn return, again, you have just accomplished something. So, it's interesting because we're all at different parts and aspects of our life. Typically, when you face a Saturn return, things are coming undone, especially if they haven't been structured correctly, especially if they weren't built on solid foundations already. You see a lot of things like relationships, job opportunities, and things of that nature that come undone during the Saturn return. But this is your Saturn saying, like, you led with virtue prior to your Saturn return, and it has gotten you to a place of stability. Again, everyone will be at different aspects while watching this video, but there is some sense of like you did the work. And so now you get to move forward in a new beginning during your Saturn return with the same structural habits that you have used prior to your Saturn return. You have a lot of expansion coming to you financially and materially. So much so that you are going to have to make a decision during your Saturn return on what to invest in financially and energetically. It is important, again, during your Saturn return, to be very honest with yourself about where this expansion could lead to and how you want to go about it the Saturn way, if that makes sense, because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and I believe so is Capricorn. So these 2 cards here are signaling like being very important for you to be honest with yourself about the changes that are taking place for you financially in this new beginning, and what will give you the most expansion, what will lend you the ability to maximize the resources that are available to you. So there will be a decision that you need to make. It will be important that you ground yourself before making this decision, that you connect and communicate with your spirit guides, with your higher self, and really gain that trust in your path before making a decision, because that's the Saturn way. With Saturn, you research, you observe, you build, you do all the necessary things to make sure that when it's time for the inspector to come to inspect your building, all of your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, okay? So I think that this is going to be a huge lesson for you during your Saturn return in regards to expansion. Like, nothing is going to stop you from expanding, but it is important that you feel prepared and ready for the changes that are inevitable in your life, with this kind of momentum that you are channeling. You also have the universe, but it came out in reverse, okay? So, yeah. I recently just read and learned that the world card is actually ruled by Saturn in the tarot, which is very interesting because it was talking about how the world, as we are taught, seems so limitless. It seems so big and infinite and full of possibilities, but the world is just as limited as any other structure, because there are laws. There are universal laws, but also physical laws as well. With the universe being in reverse, the world card being in reverse, it just means that you have to be aware as you are making certain decisions in your life. I think one of the words that one of the phrases that they used for the world being connected to Saturn is common sense, and knowing that, yes, it is possible that everything is available to you, but that doesn't mean that you have to make use of everything that is available to you, if that makes sense, pile number 3. So amongst this decision that you need to make, you really have to, again, ground yourself and be in a grounded place to make the most responsible choice for yourself. I think especially because you have reached such success towards the beginning of your Saturn return, that you kind of are like taking each moment as, nothing wrong can happen. And you're high off the success. You're high off of things going well and working right. And this is not to say that things will not continue to be that way, but you have to carry that same amount of thinking, cautiousness, and like observation that you have used in every other situation in your life in order to begin this new beginning. It's a very important beginning in your life, which is why the universe is here in reverse. You have to be aware of the consequences that your decisions make, okay? Be aware of where the choices will lead you. If you are spending it faster than you're making it, that is a choice. If you are, putting more trust than effort into your manifestation of this new beginning, more faith instead of effort, it's like the two go in tandem. You have to have faith, but you also have to show up and say, I have faith that my efforts will grow and nurture this endeavor in the way that it should be. So there's a lot that you're juggling here within your Saturn return. At the bottom of the deck, you have the Queen of Wands, which is that fire, that passion that came out for you in the beginning of your reading. You're a very passionate person. You could be someone who is fire dominant, or you could have a fire sign in your Saturn. So you could be Saturn in Leo, Saturn in Aries, or Saturn in Sagittarius, but you don't have to be. And you're so passionate, you're so fiery, and that has led you to make some impulsive decisions in the past. I'm sure, no one is free from that. But during your Saturn return, Saturn is challenging you to use that passion in a different way, to map out all options available to you, observe the land, and go towards the things that not only make the most logical sense, but also make the most sense for you to be able to creatively explore and express yourself. Be intentional with your manifestations, be thorough and specific. That is something that is coming through very loudly with this Jupiter in Capricorn and the power of attraction here. Be specific about your manifestations. But also, because we had courage here. So be courageous in knowing that when the right steps are there and meant for you to take, you will take them. But also be courageous and know that you will not misstep. You will not make the wrong step if you think about it in the manner that you're meant to the first time around. Okay? And I do believe that this is all that I have for you, pile number 3. I'm curious to know if I'm meant to pull another card. I haven't really done it for any other piles, but I'm feeling called to. So if something comes out, it will be meant for you. If not, you know how that goes. Is there any other messages for pile number 3? Any other messages from pile number 3 in regards to their Saturn return? Okay, that's quite a few. But that's how your other cards came out. Let me see. Okay, it's just 3, so I'll keep them. Oh, yes. Reliability with Capricorn and Sagittarius energy here. Beautiful. And Saturn is all about reliability and being reliable, being an energy that you can count on. This card says, make your bed and lie in it. Consistent performance, being trustworthy or dependable. So this is absolutely a trait of yours that is heightening and growing within your Saturn return. You are sticking through with things, even if it's difficult, even if you want to wander, because you've been so focused. It's not that, you can't be reliable. You spend a lot of time being focused. And so in this new beginning, there may be a little bit of temptation to be distracted, but I do see you following through, being dependable, trustworthy, and consistent within your performance. You also have adaptability with the Aquarius energy, loud and strong. A change is as good as a rest. Adjusting to conditions, coping with change, employing new strategies. So you do have a lot of change in this new beginning. You're learning, and Saturn is challenging you to be adaptable, to, approach things uniquely and be flexible to change. A change is as good as a rest. This is also somehow telling me, be adaptable to resting when it's time. Again, as I was mentioning, you are good at being reliable and showing up and putting the effort in, but sometimes you need to rest too. So adjusting to the conditions when it's time to rest, don't try to push yourself or do too much. And when it's time to expand, don't hesitate or doubt or question where you're being led to. Okay. And you have ownership, which is another good energy that Saturn loves so much. Capricorn and Virgo energy here. Reap what you sow. Responsibility for one's words and actions, personal accountability. So you are definitely in some way or another reaping what you sow during your Saturn return. So the energy that you put out, you will receive. And that goes for anything. So I see you taking responsibility for your actions and your words during your Saturn return. It'll be important for you to take accountability, personal accountability over your life, over the new things and the change that's happening, but also over the things that you have already put energy towards. Some of you could be going from leasing to owning, renting to owning, I'm hearing as well, in regards to either your housing situation or your vehicle situation or something of that nature. But you're taking ownership over your life during your Saturn return. You're stepping up. You're being more responsible, being more authoritative. You're absolutely going with the flow and trying to be as adaptable as possible, all while staying elegant and poised. With elegance being at the bottom of the deck, you have character is a habit, long continued, grace and style and manner or appearance, pleasing simplicity. So during your Saturn return, some of you may even be getting a style upgrade, or, you'll become more graceful and elegant within your clothing and the clothes you wear, or in your manner or appearance in general. And you are building a lot of character, and it's becoming a habit for you building this character. You like it. You like, who you are turning into, and you like how you present yourself to the world. Pile number 3. I hope that you enjoyed this reading, this in-depth reading, all about your Saturn return. If it resonated for you deeply, please let me know how so in the comments down below. Let me know how your Saturn return is going and what within this reading has appeared for you already, if it has. And I would love to see you in another reading. Peace. Hello, pile number 4. Welcome to your reading. You chose the Smoky Quartz Cluster Crystal and also the Feather Tea Leaf Oracle card. And the feather says someone you know is undependable and insincere. Okay, so before we get into anything else, I'm just going to read as much energy as I can from this one card. And what I mentioned and what I have been mentioning about Saturn and the other groups is that Saturn is known to deconstruct things, especially the things that don't or that weren't made with an already solid foundation. So just as an example, we know when tasks are rushed and we don't give, our full attention to things at the beginning stages of them, we can miss things, and some things may disrupt the foundation of what it is that we're trying to build. And that goes with jobs, projects, or relationships as well. So I do believe that this feather card is here to tell me, during your Saturn return, you will start to witness and be revealed. It will be revealed to you that someone is undependable. Okay. And just thinking about this card, a feather is a beautiful object. We can find a lot of beauty in feathers. One thing we cannot do is build a building out of feathers. We would not be protected from the environment. We would not be protected from any of those kind of things if we built a house out of feathers. And so when it says that someone is undependable, I believe that they were brought into your life under the guise that they could help you build a foundation, a home out of friendship, and they didn't have the materials that were necessary for this actual process. And now that friendship is going to, or that relationship, the friendship or the relationship is going to start to show how independable someone is. And the insincerity, I feel like, is just them trying to keep up with appearances or images of who they thought that they should be for you. And I think that you are coming to the understanding during your Saturn return is that you don't want people in your life who have to assume an identity in order to be comfortable around you. You want authentic people who can build genuine friendship with you based on who they are naturally. And it could be many different things in this situation. It could be that this person doesn't really know who they are authentically just yet, so they don't know how to really be dependable or to show up sincerely for you or for the relationship at hand. But Saturn is here to tell you that this was meant to happen, and that the release of this relationship or connection in any way will help you to open up to new connections, more dependable connections, more sincere people in your life. Aha, feathers. So I was actually going to point out as well that pile number 1 had this card specifically come out. So you may be also curious to listen to that message, but it's so interesting that you have the card of feather and you have feathers down here. Very interesting. You could be divinely connected to feathers and receive messages through them in a specific way. Yeah, 2 come out, solitude and present. So, you know, that solitude card is loud and clear. You may choose solitude over connecting with other folks. But let's see, what is their message, please, Spirit, from Saturn? Why is feathers here? Pile number 4. Message from Saturn. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to pull the card out. Okay. We have purge with the energy of west. And at the bottom of the deck, you have drum with awaken. So, wow. I think these cards are very specific. They really speak for themselves. Saturn has brought this relationship into your life, or this situation into your life, in order to challenge you to purge. And this will happen pretty abruptly. You will start to hear an awakening as to why this connection is not aligned with your energy. It's not aligned with your spirit. You will begin to receive a lot of confirmation as to why this purge is necessary. I'm hearing also someone could be moving out west. So that could be you or this person that feels undependable or insincere. And a part of me is also hearing like, let this connection falter, let distance, be the guise for why this friendship or this connection did not last. Put it on distance, put it on, we just lost contact, we just lost connection through distance is what I'm also hearing. And you also have the perfection of your life. So, wow. This purging, this letting go of energy is actually perfecting your life. Again, Saturn brings us gifts within our challenge, which I'm going to get to that next within the blessings that Saturn is bringing you through this. But I can already see it clearly that, you releasing the energy that is undependable, that is not going to be there to help you build structure through your relationships, is meant for you to purge. It's actually almost as if this is the one thing that you feel seems off, as everything else is coming together, things are making sense, life is moving in a more circular pattern rather than sporadic and all over the place, which it can be. It can be that sometimes, and that's just life doing its thing. But sometimes we can find these perfect moments in life that seem so tranquil and peaceful. And I think this feather energy kind of almost disrupts it for you. And you're understanding, why, again, the purge is so necessary. At the bottom of the deck, you have big, bold vision. So there is something that you are witnessing. You have a vision. You have possibly even an idea that is being awakened and that is ready to start to come alive. Again, there was certain energy that needed to be purged in order for this to take place. And it's all happening during your Saturn return, because this is where whatever vision it is that you have can grow and gain stability during this time. But that's if you have the right foundational markers, that's if you have the right atmosphere and you're ready to purge what is not meant for you or is not meant to go along this journey with you. Pile number 4, please, Spirit. What blessings or gifts is Saturn bringing them during their return? I'm going to pull this one out too. You have inner child, very interesting. That came out for another group. At the bottom of the deck, you have intuition. I will read both of them. Inner child says, allow me to give compassion and love to that little one. Let me attend to its deepest needs and feelings. So in this purge, you are witnessing how you have neglected your inner child in any way. We all face it, especially when we're focused on priorities and the responsibilities of life. Our inner child tends to suffer a little bit. And I think because especially this came out for another group, Saturn is really wanting you to know that you don't have to neglect a part of you in order to achieve something in life. So you don't have to neglect a part of you in order to have the most perfect friendships around you or the most perfect relationships in your life. Those relationships should allow each individual to offer themselves fully and to show up fully. And it's not to say that you haven't necessarily done this for another person, but like I mentioned, they just don't have enough awareness or knowledge of all aspects of themselves in order to even show up fully in that manner. It's not as if they're necessarily doing it intentionally. It's that they need to figure out who they are and who they want to be and how they want to show up for the people that they care most about. And so the inner child is telling me that this is something that you're also focusing on, but you're focusing on it differently because there aren't really any aspects to yourself that you would deny. I don't feel like, especially not during this Saturn return. I think you're finding perfection in all aspects of yourself and also in all aspects of life. There's something here about you feeling like the most natural aspects to life are the most perfect. And that is a true statement. It really is. Like, nature is perfect. It does what it needs to do on a continuous cycle without asking anyone, oh, should I start winter now? Or, oh, should it be spring now? It's like winter does its thing. Naturally, it shows up and we accept it. We embrace it authentically. Of course, there are corporations and, larger people who try to make the earth act in a way that is not natural to itself. But for the people who are really aware of natural cycles and natural life cycles, like I do believe that you are pile number 4, you realize you don't have to force authenticity. I think that's why it also frustrates you with this feather situation, because you just want someone to be more authentic and they don't know how to do that for you. They don't know how to show up in that way for you. But I do see during your Saturn return that it is a deep desire for you to continue to stand in your own authenticity. Intuition at the bottom of the deck says, each person's road to the inner Lord is extraordinary and personal. How liberating to listen inside and sense moment to moment what is needed. Okay, so your intuition during your Saturn return is going to be out of this world. You're definitely going to feel deeply connected to this inner God, this inner being that exists within you. That is what is helping you to perceive the world so perfectly and to perceive it, your life so perfectly. Because I don't want to say that the world is perfect. It is not. The world is not perfect. Nature is perfect. The world, the structures that we have placed onto this earth is absolutely not perfect. So through your intuition, you're seeing that. You're seeing how life can be perfect. You're seeing how life can be beautiful. And you're also intensely listening to your intuition tell you the things that need to be let go of and that need to be purged. I don't necessarily think, beautiful. Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's just a relationship or a situation in your life that needs to be purged. It is a purging also of energy. I feel like that keeps you from feeling connected to your inner child and giving it, the deepest needs and feelings that you desire to experience. You have attraction with the pansy energy here. And you also have Libra as well, with the number 7. So that may be a very important number for you during your Saturn return. But relationships in all phases and aspects will be essential and crucial to you during your Saturn return. You are attracting a lot of attention, but you're also attracting in the right attention. It's like people can be attracted to you during this time, and you will maybe even hear people verbally speak on how attractive that you are. But what you are going to be paying the most attention to is people's actions and not their words. I think Saturn is bringing this situation to your life because you have been very focused in the past on the things that people say and how they have attracted you based on the things that they have said and the things that they have presented. And Saturn is telling you that you need more than just a basis or a basic level of attraction in order to be connected to someone deeply. You need to know that they are moving in their life somehow similar to how you are moving, which means with intention, with observation, with some level of spirituality as well. I feel like it's important for you in order to keep your relationships and situations balanced and healthy. That means interacting with the inner child. That means interacting with the shadow self. That means, if not necessarily having a deep relationship, being aware that those things exist and that they matter. I think that's something that's very important for you. You're purging the things that don't feel balanced, healthy, or aligned during your Saturn return. And this is all for the betterment and the health of yourself. At the bottom of the deck, you have grounding, and it has the Virgo energy here, but also this is a tarot deck that signals to me that you are deepening your intuition through divination, through spiritual practices. You are grounding yourself through ritual, and your communication with your spirit guides, your ancestors, or your angels are being highlighted as important during your Saturn return. All spiritual communication will be leading you towards trusting yourself internally. If that makes sense, you're going to be doing things intuitively that builds trust within you because you felt called to do those things. You are affirming your intuition. You are affirming yourself during your Saturn return. And again, you're not going to need other people to affirm. You're not going to need it. I think especially with this feather situation and relational situations in your past, you are very appreciative of the energy that could affirm you because it was hard to feel like you could trust your own intuition. And now that it's building, that you're gaining a relationship with yourself and with your intuition, affirmations come to you differently. And it doesn't need to be necessarily through another person or through another vessel, because you are learning how to trust your intuition and trust your inner guide. Especially when it comes to getting into new relationships. Prior to your Saturn return, you could have possibly been the type of person who always spoke, this energy on yourself of I always attract the wrong people, or I always have the worst taste in people because that's who keeps coming to me. And I think that as you are purging this energy, it is taking that away in some way. It's not like people won't be attracted to you no matter what state they are in their life. It's if you accept them. It's if you allow them to replay certain traumatic things in your life with a different theme. Boundaries is strongly a Saturn thing. Saturn loves boundaries. They love putting people in their place when necessary, because not everyone can have access. Not everyone can have access to you. And so some of you could even have aspects of your Saturn to Venus or your moon, if you are into astrology. But you have the Knight of Wands. Okay. Yeah. you're very, for some reason, I'm hearing stern with this Knight of Wands. You're very stern. Because look at their face. It's like you're not playing around when it comes to people trying to enter your life. You're very passionate about your boundaries and the necessity of boundaries. You want to make sure that, like, you want to make sure so much that the energy is aligned, that you're meeting people with a certain amount of energy, a certain kind of energy. And what does this tell me? It tells me that some people may think that you can be a little bit intimidating depending on, how this Knight of Wands is received. But it's necessary so that people don't play around with your feelings, and they don't play around with you and the relationships that you have stated clearly at the beginning. This is what I need. This is something that you're very passionate about. The Knight is someone who takes action. So when you are going out and making friends, when you are meeting people, when you are actively seeking new friendships, because you know that the old ones are definitely cycling out, or new friendships or connections, you're kind of really going with a certain mindset ahead of the situation and saying, these are my needs, and these are how I'm tending to my needs, and this is how I need the energy to support that around me. You don't need someone to feed you what you're learning to feed yourself. You need them to support you while you feed yourself. You need them to be understanding. And understanding doesn't mean, oh, I need them to talk to me X amount of times during the day. Oh, I need them to see me and meet up X amount of times in a month. It's less of that. When someone's not dependable, that just means that you cannot depend on them when it comes to listening or giving advice or being empathetic, understanding, being, what it is that you would need or any other human would need in an interaction that is very specific to your life. So you coming off as headstrong and very, sure about what it is that you need can be off-putting to other people, but those are the people who, again, may end up replicating this situation in your life. And you want people who can admire your boundaries, can admire your passion for reciprocity and, again, empathy and understanding. That is what you need to exist within your relationships to, again, help you continue to not only perfect life, but enjoy it. You have the Eon, which I believe, especially with the Libra here, I believe this is the Judgment card within this deck. So as you can see at the bottom of the Eon card, the foundation is crumbled. There's something here that has broken up, that has found a new, it's like the structure is dismantled and something new is being born. With this egg here and the phoenix, it looks like that may be a phoenix, but it may not be also. And the Judgment is telling me that there's a large, a significant beginning that is happening in your life, that is taking place, that is meant for you to approach it with little expectation. Because when we expect things to go a specific way, that's where disappointment can happen. The Judgment card is just saying, like, let things transform. And do not be judgmental of yourself during the process of how you react or how you respond or how another person responds even. Why is Judgment here, please, Spirit? Some of you could have Saturn in Libra or Saturn in a fire sign like Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius. Pile number 4, please, Spirit. Why is judgment here? Yeah. It's like you want to be less judgmental for yourself, but also you need this energy in your life. And so this energy that may not be the most dependable has not necessarily encouraged the most healthy habits within you, where they see you judging yourself or being overly critical or being really hard on yourself. And they're like, yeah, you're right. You do need to do more of this, or you do need to do this, or this is why this is not happening in your life. I'm not telling you to go out and search for yes men or people who will only tell you the things that you want to hear. There is a balance. I know that you know that there is a balance, and that is the balance that you're seeking. And it is absolutely possible for you to have that in those relationships. You have the Ace of Wands. Beautiful. So this is the new beginning that I was sensing in your reading. Very new beginning during your Saturn return. Something is happening or coming into your life that is going to enlighten your perspective so strongly. It's going to give you so much clarity as to, again, why the purge was necessary, why things happen the way that they do. You have the Chariot as well. A lot of big life changes happening for you during your Saturn return with all of this major arcana. The Chariot tells me like you, whether you can see a clear outcome or not, you're making moves. You're doing the things that you need to do. Again, especially if some of you are deciding to move, or as specifically as move out west, because the West card was here. You are figuring out what it is that is necessary or needed in order to make that happen, in order to make change happen. The Chariot is ruled by Cancer. And to me, whenever I see the Chariot, it means that you're moving towards more comfort, more emotional stability, more opportunities to be vulnerable and to live a vulnerable existence. Again, vulnerability is heavily criticized and judged in such a strong world. Sometimes people, not even just people, let me be very specific because I see this energy and I want to speak on it that way. Masculine energy is what I'm hearing. Masculine energy is not allowed to be vulnerable in this world today as we know it. Men, or the energy of men, because society, they put it black or white, so I'm going to read it as that way. Men are not allowed to be vulnerable or to show emotion or to cry or to be in that vulnerable state of sensitivity. And you don't want to live in that kind of world. You want to exist where there's harmony and balance, where emotions are honored, received, and communicated healthily. So that Chariot is telling me like you're absolutely going to be purging. You're absolutely going to be letting go, leaving, moving away from the things that you intuitively have felt called to for some time now. You're not going to judge yourself. You're not going to really make it harder on yourself. You're just going to feed yourself compassion and understanding, and knowing that it's hard to move away from situations, especially relationships that have been in your life for a very long time. You get comfortable with the ways people say things or the way people react to you. And so you, again, during your Saturn return, you're being challenged to say, this is a false sense of comfort. This is a false sense of comfort. You're not going to judge yourself even if you hear the words and you feel like, oh, I was definitely settling in this friendship or relationship. You're not going to continue those habits any longer, because those are the habits, again, that are encouraged by the same energy that needs to be purged. So I see a lot of balance coming into your relationships, a lot of maturity happening during this Saturn return. You have the Two of Wands with Mars and Aries, Dominion. So your world is changing, just to read the depictions literally, your world is shifting and changing during the Saturn return. Mars in Aries tells me that there's going to be rapid changes that are taking place in your life. Rapid in the sense like a lot of things are going to be new for you by the time that your Saturn return is over. You're going to come toe to toe, I feel like, with energy frequently. Not fighting. I don't see it as fighting necessarily. The Two of Wands is saying, I am trying to... The Two of Wands is saying, I'm trying to perfect my life. I'm trying to take control in some way. And I know that I can't do this with certain energy existing. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be necessarily the most flowing because you have a lot of emotional matters connected to it. Some of you, I don't know if I just said this or not, some of you could have Mars in Aries. At the bottom of the deck, you have the Princess of Wands or the Page of Wands. I feel like you are learning about a healthy amount of disagreement. Again, not fighting. You're not interested in fighting. I feel like emotionally, you're not in a place to fight. Your inner child is not in a place to go head on with someone else. But you are absolutely standing up for what you need. And that is where the challenge comes in. Your Saturn is telling you, like, I need you to stand up for yourself. I need you to stand up for this. Some of you could have Saturn in the 7th house as well, because Libra rules the 7th house. You have Libra twice, but you also have the Chariot here, which is the number 7. So some of you, and 7 is like this really relational energy. And we did say, so some of you could be seeing 7s a lot. Whether it's Saturn in your 7th house or not. But Saturn, your Saturn return is teaching you about relationships, how you want to show up more emotionally vulnerable, more and be emotionally received, and to be receptive of other people's healthy emotions as well. You're trying to almost mark your territory with this dominion here, and the Two of Wands. But the Two of Wands is just typically someone being able to observe the lay of the land, observe their surroundings, and see where they really want to put energy towards. So not only could this be signifying certain disagreements, maybe internally or externally, but it's telling me that you are looking for new opportunities to make friendships. You're looking for new environments. Some of you really, really strongly, I could be getting that you're moving and that you're looking for a new place to live. And in that movement, you're looking for new supportive relationships as well. It's like almost like a clean slate for some of you. But I do see that you are absolutely attracting the things that you want through your energy during your Saturn return. You're trying to keep it high vibes, but not at a toxic level of, toxic positivity. You're trying to match your energy to the environment that you sense, that you feel. Like, how when you walk into somewhere and you can feel just really good energy radiating, like a bookstore maybe, or something that really feels comfortable to you and that feels like your inner child belongs there. You're trying to match your energy to that. And you're also trying to welcome in the relationships that will support and grow that energy of goodness that you feel from certain environments. You're ready to purge the draining emotions, the emotions that, again, keep you settling or keep you attached to things that do not benefit you or people that do not benefit you, and you're looking to evolve. That's really what I feel. During the Saturn return, You're looking to evolve and to experience new things, experience the things that like really light you up, spark your spirit and your curiosity. You want to have certain experiences that you can learn from. There are people who will do the same things over and over again and experience life without learning about life. And there's no judgment to those people. There's no judgment to the way that anyone chooses to live. There's no judgment. But what works best for you is the energy that goes along with your curiosity, that encourages you to be curious, that encourages you to not just be wild and free, but to claim freedom in your life in any small way that you can. Like, you don't want to be stuck in a time loop. You don't want to necessarily be doing the same thing every day. You don't want to live a life, again, that is emotionally stifling, because you have faced those things as a child. You have faced those things and you're growing to want more, and you want the people around you to want more too. You want them to see your desires and be like, that's inspiring as fuck. Like, I want to be more deeply connected to my inner child. I want to be more creatively expressive and free. I want to experience life intuitively and all these other things. You want people who hype you up. You want people who hype themselves up, who want this, similar things or a similar kind of lifestyle. Again, not looking for yes men. You don't both have to do things the exact same way. And then when it comes to relationships, you just want reciprocity, alignment, support, and you deserve those things. And Saturn is here challenging you and saying, if this is what you envision from your relationships, you have to make sure that the environment exists for those to be welcome in. Okay. And I believe that this is all that I have for you, pile number 4. I hope that you enjoyed this brief message, a message from your Saturn return. If it resonated deeply for you, I would love to hear about it in the comment section. Let me know down below how your Saturn return is going or how it went. And I will see you in another reading. Peace.